is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
Today is going to be a changing day in your life.
5, 4.
Get ready to take care of you. If you're getting very anxious because every trip to the grocery store and gas station is cutting deeper and deeper into your budget, you are most definitely not alone. Inflation is at sky-high rates of 9.1%, and that's a 40-year high. Some of y'all aren't even 40 years old, and some of us are. With less supply and more demand of so many products, 2/3 of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck and are just outraged over prices.
Gas, groceries, rent, and more. The price of almost everything rising faster than in decades.
You really need to have a good job to be able to afford basic kind of groceries.
Many households are really feeling the crunch. Inflation jumped more than 9% last month. It's the biggest increase since 1981.
When I go to the grocery store, the prices have gone up, and of course the portions in the rations are shorter.
The price of poultry, produce, dairy, everything is going up.
You see this on your receipt every week, but grocery prices are up more than 12%.
The prices are insane. I eat salmon, and it's already expensive. So it was $11, but now it goes up to $20, $22 just for the same amount that I usually get.
My total bill exceeds, the $100, $150 mark, when before it used to not pass $100 for the same amount of items. I kind of feel cheated sometimes.
And although gas prices have started coming down, we're paying 60% more than a year ago.
You can barely eat. The places where you normally go that had reasonable prices are now just outrageous. I feel as if I'm being gouged.
It's becoming too much for families now.
Something has to change for this to get better.
Well, we know you need help, and so we're starting a series today on how to survive inflation. And we're going to be bringing you credit card tips, grocery ideas, coupon tricks, and more that could save you thousands. Now, we're going to break down how to deal with inflation emotionally and financially. But first, to help understand exactly what's happening, I want to introduce you to Harvard-trained economist and chief economist for InstaWork, Dan Altman. Dan, thanks for being here.
Thank you very much for having me.
Let's just get to the basics. What is inflation? What is it and why is it?
Inflation is just the rate of change of prices. They could go up, they could go down, but when they're going up, we typically call it inflation. And inflation, the way we hear about it in the news, usually refers to prices across the whole economy. Yeah. So the government averages the changes in prices for all the things that consumers typically buy, and that's what you see in the inflation rate.
Well, so this is the highest in 40 years. So why is it going up so much right now?
So I would say that there are probably about 5 main causes right now. That's a lot to talk about, but to go through them really quickly, we had the Russian invasion of Ukraine, which created a lot of problems in commodity markets, took some commodities off the market. That means less supply, so that's going to increase prices. We had problems in supply chains that have dated since the beginning of the pandemic. We've also had a couple of issues in the housing market where there's a shortage of affordable housing. We had the Federal Reserve, which kept on increasing its balance sheets. If you think of the economy as a bonfire, they kept throwing more logs and logs on that bonfire and overheating the economy. And then we had the fiscal package from Washington, which added a bit more fire to the spending.
Yeah, well, I like to think about things that we have control over. And I'm an American, and I'm pissed off. I look at behavioral economics, and it seems like we've done some really stupid stuff. Like, we've been pumping money into the economy, like, what, $5 trillion with different categories of pumping money into the economy. And savings and checking account balances have gone up $4.4 trillion. So I really question, did we really need to do all of that? So you do have all this money on this side, and you say, well, the supply chain has been disrupted. Well, the government was paying people not to work. How does that make sense?
I think there's a decent argument to be made that they kept their foot on the gas a little too long with that. But there's also probably a stronger argument from an economist perspective that the Federal Reserve kept their foot on the gas way too long, as I said, pumping more money into the economy when they really probably should have stopped about 6 months earlier, maybe even longer than they did.
So where's Nate Thomas?
Right here.
Nate, you're a professor, and you're feeling the crunch. How so?
But yes, it's tighter. It's, I'm accustomed to a lifestyle that's not the over extravagant lifestyle, but I've done the education, I've paid the student loans, I want to live the American dream, and that's being shattered at this point, even for me. But it even goes beyond gas, and it goes beyond the groceries. I get a bill last week from my insurance company. Now, I haven't had a claim in 20 years. They went up by $50 a month. And they said because accidents are up in California. Well, accidents have always been up in California, New York. So I think that they're using the inflation to be able to gouge in some other areas. I mean, what does my driving record have to do with the supply chain? So now that's $50 extra a month times that. And I think there are other parts of my life and other folks' lives where they're using the crises. And I have a saying that you never spare a crisis. And I think that's what's happening now, is that because we're in a crisis, the other parts of our economy, the other businesses are just upping the price on their goods and services just to get in there and throw it all in there and just further strap the American people. So I'm feeling it as well.
Yeah, for sure. You know, you point out a really interesting thing that might be going on, which is, companies in different industries would always love to raise their prices, right? But they're afraid to be the only one raising it because then everybody else will undercut them and steal their business. But when there's a focal point, like what's happening now, that they can all coordinate on, then they don't even have to collude. They just all sort of know we could all raise our prices right now.
Coming up, why Dan says there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And we're going to meet a mother of 8 who says most people are shopping backwards. Find out her grocery store secrets to staying on budget. We'll be right back.
I'm so excited to share some of my best, most viral, most innovative tips and tricks for budgeting. Let's talk about saving money on groceries. I will show your audience how to do that in a super easy, effective way and all the benefits.
And later, I think it's crazy, but I think what you're doing is working, so I'm going to shut up.
40 years. This cereal right here, almost $7. How much did you spend today just on that bag?
It was like $50, and that's dinner for tonight.
Grocery prices are up 13% over the last 12 months, the largest annual increase since 1979.
We're talking about how to survive inflation with economist Dan Altman. Now, we know so many people are struggling right now, and this is just one part of our series to help you save money. Now, Jordan Page is a mother of 8 who says food prices are really impacting her family. So she got very savvy and is now known as the fun, cheap, or free queen. Take a look.
Let's talk about saving money on groceries. I just did a huge grocery haul for my family of 10, and guess what? It was under $100. That is amazing. Hey, Dr. Phil, I'm so excited to completely blow the minds and melt the faces off of your audience members as I share some of my best, most viral, most innovative tips and tricks for budgeting, especially in this economy full of inflation right now. So before you even go shopping, there are a few important things you need to do to save money. So we narrowed down to a few of my top tips. And the very first one is the one that I think catches the most people by surprise, and that is to have a 1-week spending freeze. Food prices are way up right now. Every penny counts. The principles I will teach you today can apply to any store you shop at. And I will show your audience how to do that in a super easy, effective way and all the benefits, including paying off debt so much faster.
So why do you say people shop backwards?
Because we're in the habit of going online or going to our favorite celebrity cookbook, grabbing a recipe, going to the store, and just like in the bit, paying $50 for a bag of groceries just for that night. Half the ingredients go to waste, the leftovers sit and rot in your fridge, and you eat out the next night, and then you start all over again. And next thing you know, you're spending $1,000 a week on groceries. It's just backwards.
One thing I want to say to all y'all is statistics tell us that Americans throw out 40% of the food that they prepare. 40%.
That's probably conservative.
Be aware of that, and maybe that means you freeze it, save it, prepare less, whatever, but that's a big number. That's almost half. Now, what is your recommended budget per person in the family each month?
For groceries. Okay, I don't want to get canceled, but I promise this is a doable number. I recommend you start at $100 per person in your family per month. It works. You just got to stretch it. It's more about what you do with it than it is about what you buy and where and when you buy it.
Okay, that's like $3.22 a day.
It's doable, I promise.
So how do you do that? What's that consist of?
And here's the thing.
Are you eating rice and beans or
no,
what?
I cook good food for my family. We eat a lot of meat and protein. I mean, there's 10 of us. We've got some appetites. It's about shopping wise, for one, but I think people put too much emphasis in how they shop. I think it should be more emphasized what you do with the food. Are you reusing the ingredients over and over and over? Are you opening your fridge first when you plan your meals? That's the trick, really. When you plan your meals, don't plan off the groceries. Plan off what you have in your fridge, freezer, and pantry that you need to use up.
So you get 10 people to all eat the same thing?
I am not a short order chef, Dr. Phil, so yes. And what do we say, kids? We say plug your nose and gag it down. If they don't like it, they have to eat it anyway.
At home, do you cook 2 meals a day, 3 meals a day? What?
Well, my kids are in charge of helping with breakfast and lunch. So they pack their own lunches for school within my parameters. We have a good system. During the summer, they cook breakfast and lunch exclusively. We do it all together on Saturday as a family. We do a big batch cooking session and make like 500 protein waffles and eat them throughout the week. And then dinner, I assign a kid each dinner to help me cook. But we do a lot of simple things we can throw in the crock pot before school, casseroles that we can make one now, make a second one and freeze it for a busy night that we can just pop it in the oven.
Yeah. Now, both of you say buy in bulk.
Yeah, you're actually using less packaging. It's more efficient to ship things. So there are a lot of reasons why supermarkets will typically give you a lower price in a unit price per pound for something that you're buying in a bigger quantity.
Yeah. What do you buy in bulk?
What don't I buy in bulk, Dr. Phil? Everything, including maybe produce or fresh items that you wouldn't use right away. You can chop it up and freeze it. You can cook it in something and freeze it for later. You could split the package with a friend. So many ways to stretch it. Coming up, Jordan explains her Shelf Timber challenge and how she spends only $30 a week on groceries for 10. We'll be right back. Could you do that? No? Yes, you could. I believe in you.
We're going to turn now to the sticker shock many parents are seeing as they begin to buy back-to-school items. This summer, more than half of shoppers have started buying supplies, and what they're getting is a painful lesson in economics.
I looked at Target online for some crayons, and they happen to be almost $3. Normally, I've seen them 50 cents, so it was kind of shocking.
Industry experts say part of the reason for the price jump is that when COVID shut down the country, the supply chain was also put on hold.
The price has gone up so exponentially.
Well, this is part one of our series on how to survive inflation. Now, we know everyone is feeling the crunch. Economist Dan Altman says there is a light at the end of the tunnel, but you have to get creative now while you're in the tunnel. And a mother of 8, actually, Jordan Page, known as the Fun, Cheaper, Free Queen, is sharing her secrets to staying on budget with a big family. You have what you call a Shelf Timber challenge. What is this?
Okay, emphasis on the word challenge. It is hard. To my audience, we call it kind of a financial or a budgeting cleanse. You know, you don't usually do a cleanse forever. It's not sustainable. Shelf Timber is the same way, but it is life-changing. What we do for the whole month of September, we live off of $30 to $50 a week on groceries. And I usually do 25 just to prove it can be done. It is tricky. You usually make everything from scratch, including sauces, sometimes even your own pasta or bread. It's tricky, but we do eat well. We don't just eat plain rice and flavorless beans. But the point is to teach
What are you,
people.
boiling tennis shoes? What,
I know.
I mean, it's...
Those would be gross. We do better than that. It's just, part of it is you have things in the back of your freezer you haven't looked at in 6 months. Do you even know what's back there? Or you have that little half bottle of chili sauce that's been sitting in the door of your fridge for a year that you haven't used. All of those ingredients, it's like Chopped. You open your basket, you see what you have, and you're challenged to make a meal from scratch. And then to go to the store and just buy supplemental ingredients, fresh things to keep you afloat. And then in October, we really work, we call it Stocktober, because then we work on shopping better and restocking your pantry and your fridge wisely, focusing on what's on sale, buying bulk and finding creative ways to store it or save it. My philosophy, whenever you go shopping, is 1 for now, 2 for later. So throughout the year, you're just slowly building up a stockpile that then, in hard times or an expensive month, you have some fallback food.
Could you do that?
No.
No?
Yes, you could. I believe in you. You could do it.
You know, I used to cook a lot. And I used to work for a magazine, and it was very busy. And I have 2 kids and 2 grandkids. So back then, I could make ends meet easier than I can now with just me, my husband, and my son. And I go to the supermarket with a list, $30. And then I end up at the checkout counter spending $100, you know. And it's really too much. It's just difficult to make ends meet. You're living from paycheck to paycheck just because of food and gas.
Do you have dietary restrictions or preferences that you follow that are expensive?
No. You know, we don't eat much meat, you know. We eat a lot of vegetables and a lot of fruits, so we're very healthy eaters. And we try to do sales and all of that. And still, I mean, it's still, I can't do it. I mean, to stay on that budget.
But the concept makes sense, and you say don't waste anything, right? I mean, you got to, when it's tough, you got to make sure you use everything.
Everything, every drop. And, you know, in a case like you where you eat a lot of fresh vegetables, maybe you invest in a little greenhouse so you can have a garden all year. They make small ones that don't take up much space. There are ways, but it takes some work, as with anything.
Well, we're going to get into that. We're going to meet a family that did just what you said. This family has double the size of Jordan, 16 children. Holy cow. Wait until you see what they did to save money. We'll be right back. You're down to $275 a day per person, right?
Right.
Wow. What's the real key?
Rents are up and mortgage applications are down. Plus, people here are already spending way more on housing than experts say we should.
Everything's so high with the rent. I think the minimum's like $2,000. I cannot afford that to move out by myself.
High inflation has hit everyone in the wallet. Higher prices for food, gas, even the cost of the roof over our heads is going up.
Well, meat prices have skyrocketed during inflation, but Tim and Kelly still wanted to serve up steaks to their 16, count them, 16 children. So they bought and butchered an entire cow to save money.
With having 15 children and 2 adults to feed, buying meat these days can get pricey. So we decided to purchase a cow and have it butchered. It filled a majority of our stand-up freezer, but it is now full of hamburger, T-bone steaks, ribeyes, roasts, and cube steak. 3 layers of nothing but meat. We filled it so much that we had to adjust it to get it to close, but we managed to make it work. Let's see how long this lasts our family and if it was worth it.
Well, Kelly and Tim are joining us virtually, so hello.
Hi.
Hey, Dr. Phil.
16 children, right?
16.
Okay, who wants to take the challenge? I want you to name the 16 children. Go.
Amber, Morgan, Autumn, Braylon, Slayton, Kenneth, David, Nevaeh, Apple, Gnarly, Emma, Riley, Charlie, Lucas, and McKinley.
Good job. I couldn't have done it. I have two, and I can't remember one of them half the time. Of course, I can't remember why I went in the kitchen this morning either. Tim says he was unsure about buying a butchered cow until meat prices increased so much. What pushed you over the edge?
When it got to the point where just your typical ground hamburger meat was like $6, $7 a pound, and they had the audacity to put a for sale, a sale price on there. And I would say probably half of the meals that we cook are ground beef. So that's a big filler for our family. And a normal meal for a family of 4 would be maybe a 1 pound pack of hamburger meat, but for us, it's about 4 pounds. So it can add up quickly.
But now you're down to $2.75 a day per person, right?
Right.
Wow. What's the real key? Do you buy other things in bulk as well?
Yeah, so we started doing the same thing as she stated before, planning meals, buying in bulk. We started making homemade biscuits, buying sugar and things like that you need on a daily basis in bulk as well.
You also had 3 vehicles because you have a lot of people to move around, and you traded in 3 cars for a 15-person van, right?
Yeah, the van is our almost like our school bus for our tribe. Like your previous guest said, we felt the crunch on the car insurance, and we have a couple teen drivers, so even without wrecks or anything like that, they're using that to get even more money out of families. The mechanic shops, when you take a vehicle there for routine maintenance, you're seeing the prices of that go way up because they can't find mechanics to work there without, paying them more, which means they got to charge more. So
yeah, it's a domino effect. And as Dan was pointing out, the inflation is an average. And if we look at the chart, you can see how these things really stack up. Because all items is 9.1, but energy, 43.5%. When we get into winter and we start talking fuel oils, 70.4%. And then motor fuel, 60.2%. Even with it coming down, it's still in the 50s. This is crippling.
Yeah, it's something that we really haven't seen for decades. And the energy sector, as you said, is driving a lot of it, because if you look not just at the raw fuel oils and motor fuels, things like that, if you look at airfare, well, that's because the jet fuel price is going up. If you look at electricity, that's because they're using a lot of fossil fuels to run the power plants.
Yeah. The reason I think what you're doing is so important is I did some math here, and the average median income in America is $45,000 a year. And so after tax, you're talking about $700 a week. And with inflation shrinking those dollars 10%, and people are saying they can't make ends meet. So that means they were operating on a pretty thin margin, but they were getting by. If you can come up with ways to create $70 a week more value for the money that is now available, the buying power, that makes all the difference in the world. And one of the things I think you say, which sounds crazy to me, just insane, is like, you say you need to have at least 7 bank accounts. What the hell is that all about?
I know.
7 bank accounts?
Think of a file cabinet, right, that has 2 drawers. Sure, all of your papers, you can just toss in the drawers and close it. They're safe, they're there. But we have file folders for a reason. So consider your bank accounts your file folders for your money. A lot of people just have 1 checking and 1 savings, and all your money's thrown into those drawers. But the more folders, the more accounts you have, the more out of sight, out of mind your money is, the easier it is to set money aside for things. Banks will pay you oftentimes to open bank accounts with them. So that's a good way to make a few $70 here and there as well.
I think it's crazy, but I think what you're doing is working, so I'm going to shut up.
We like crazy.
Dan says there is a light at the end of the tunnel. When is that? How long do you have to suck it up here before there's some relief on the horizon? We'll be right back. You say there's an end to this bout of inflation. Where do you predict that to be?
People who look at inflation expectations, like the Federal Reserve and like the University of Michigan, who measure this month after month, are looking for 5 or 6% maybe next year, which is down from the 9 to 8% we've seen recently. And then in the following year, 2024, then we're going to have more normal levels, we hope, in the 2 to 4% range.
So it is going to start easing.
That's what it looks like right now.
Margaret, you're a teacher. Thank you for being a teacher, by the way. I think it's amazing.
It's my privilege.
That you guys do what you do. We turn our greatest assets in life, our children, over to you people and then pay you embarrassingly low wages to see after them 40% of their waking hours. And most teachers get into their own pocket for school supplies, construction paper, markers, whatever. You're actually having to get in it to help feed some of the kids.
Yeah, what I discovered kind of coming out of COVID, they would come and I'd be like, did you have breakfast? Did you have breakfast? Did you have breakfast? Like most of them had not had any breakfast. I'm a music teacher, and so we're athletic in what we do. And some of them just were like, glazed face, all those kinds of things. And so I finally went, if I want to have a productive class, these kids have to eat food. And I appreciate your ideas because I'm going back to school in about a week. And I'm already planning on what I'm going to stock up because it's too important. They have other stresses in their life. And, as you know, basic needs, safety, food, shelter, all that kind of stuff. I don't know what is uncertain in their life. And so it makes me feel better to know that at least I'm contributing in some ways so that they can be successful at school and that's not another stress.
Yeah. And it's different for everybody. Tristan, you have certain things you need to eat, right?
Yeah.
But for health reasons.
Yeah, I can't eat gluten.
Yeah, and so those things are not cheap.
Not at all. And they get more expensive, and then there's less of them in the packages. So I have to pay 3, 4, 5 times the price and then not get as much food. And so then sometimes when I'm low on money, I'll have to just eat the gluten and it causes me issues. So it puts me in a really tough position to eat, every day.
And that's hard. Then health becomes a problem. Elizabeth, you work full time, right?
Yes, I do.
But you're having now to live at home.
Yes.
Because of cost, even working full time, you just can't make it by yourself.
Yeah, I really can't. I even help my mom with the bills already. And it's already hard trying to make ends meet that way. And I have, luckily, a paid off car. But with gas and helping her pay the bills, I'm already struggling with just that, let alone if I tried to live on my own.
All of this creates anxiety. And what causes people to have this anxiety is if you feel like you're out of control. And the best way to combat the anxiety is to empower yourself. Is to say, all right, am I helpless, or are there things I can do to control my own destiny? And Jordan says one easy way to save requires a cup of frozen water. And I'm going to talk to you about how to really not just feel empowered, but be empowered. We'll come right back. What's this about a cup of ice?
When they say freeze your credit card, I took that literal when we were trying to get out of debt. And I teach it to all my audience to literally, if you have trouble budgeting on a credit card, a lot of us do, take that card, don't pull out the scissors. It's not always good for your credit. And I do think credit cards are very useful, but get a cup of water, put your credit card in it and freeze it. Give yourself some self-control. Maybe go on a cash-only budget, even for a month or 2 or 3. Again, it's like a cleanse. You need to retrain your habits, make it a little harder so that every dollar is more intentional. I also think you should take your budget and break it down by week, because a month of grocery money, I get that on day 1 and I'm like making it rain with all my dollars. But if you break it down and do 1 week at a time, anyone can budget for 6 or 7 days. It's all about habit stacking and retraining your habits.
Yeah. Well, that's good impulse control. It really is. If you got to chip that out of there or wait for it to melt out, then sometimes the impulse can pass.
Yeah.
Now, I said I wanted to talk to you about fighting off anxiety, and the way you do that is to take your power back, to feel empowered. And the way to do that is to sit down and say, okay, I've complained about this, I've whined about this, I've bitched about it, and well, you should, because this has been done to you. There's no question about it. You didn't ask for this. You didn't do anything to bring this on. It's been done to you. Got it. Covered that. It's been acknowledged. Now, the question is, what are you going to do about it? Start with research. If you're driving, can you start using mass transit at least part of the time? Can you buy in bulk? Can you stop eating out? You all have technology. Look around your house. Find the things that you don't need. Put them on eBay. Sell them. You would be astounded. That old saying, one man's trash is another man's treasure, is so true. You might be able to raise $1,000, $1,200, which, if what Dan is saying is true, that we're going to have this easing up in a matter of months, $1,200, $100 a month spread over 12 months can make the difference between closing that gap or not. Look for what you can do. Empower yourself, take control, and give yourself credit for what you did. So don't panic, just be in control. And then when you get the survival need where you say, okay, I'm going to make it now. Okay, then you go to the next level of functioning. Anxiety will lessen when you feel a sense of control. All right, we're going to talk about this more in additional episodes. Special thanks to economist Dan Altman. Now, Dan is the author of an international bestseller, Outrageous Fortunes, the 12 surprising trends that will reshape the global economy. I really thank you for your analysis today and kind of demystifying some of this. The company is Instawork, and that is such a great concept. So that's one of the things you can do. Go look up Instawork, get a side hustle, create a few extra bucks here and there. Special thanks to the fun, cheap, and free queen, Jordan Page. Great tips. Again, like I said, some of it sounds crazy to me, but hey, it's working. Thumbs up from me. I say do what she says. Coming up in our series, How to Survive Inflation, we're going to have someone called the Points Guy. This is someone that Robin has a relationship with on her podcast, and he talks about the best credit card tips and how to use these points for more than you think they're good for, and how you can maximize those things and turn them in and use them for all different sorts of things. And a consumer advocate who will tell you exactly how to spot shrinkflation and what to do about it. Coming up, it's not all work and no play around here. My staff definitely knows how to have some fun. I'll show you one of the ways next. I often talk about my wonderful staff here at Dr. Phil. Making TV is not magic. It's a lot of hard work day in and day out. And with all the hours they put in, it just makes sense to take regular breaks whenever possible throughout the day. So joining me are two of my staff members, Crystal and Nick. I know you guys have a lot to do, so I'll make this quick so I don't stretch your day out too much, because you still have to get everything done, right? All right, Crystal, tell everybody what you do here.
Hi, Dr. Phil. I am the office manager and also the COVID testing coordinator for the show. That means taking care of all the staff's needs and making sure that the staff is COVID compliant.
Right, we take that seriously.
Yes.
Around here. And what about you, Nick?
So I'm a runner here at Dr. Phil. I transport guests to and from stage, I take show tapes to tape docks and taping facilities. Pretty much anything the show has me do, I'm on it.
So, Crystal, what do you like doing in your spare time?
Well, I did learn how to play the ukulele over COVID, which is interesting. I am known to be a pretty good baker.
Yeah?
I have mastered a very amazing peanut butter cookie.
I love to hear that.
Yes.
Nick, if you ever have spare time, what do you enjoy doing?
Dr. Phil, I'm an actor, taking classes. I like to sing and play guitar, and I also love playing video games on my phone. I recently discovered this app called Bingo Blitz, and it's a lot of fun, really great way to relax during a hectic workday, and actually showed Crystal, and now she plays too.
All right, so let's play a little Bingo Blitz right now. What do you think?
Heck yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, all right. So you both have your phones. So for fun, let's see who can finish first. Don't start yet, don't start yet. So he's jumping the gun over here. I'll tell you when to start. And when you finish, just yell out bingo, and we'll see who wins this. So ready, set, go.
Okay.
Now, they're playing this game, Bingo Blitz, and it's free to play bingo game, but you can see it on the screen. It's much more exciting than traditional bingo and a lot more fun. There are innovative power-ups, mini games, and events.
Power up, yes.
Oh, I got a boost.
You'll never get bored. One of the best features is the unique social platform that lets you play with your friends in the same bingo room. You can chat and even send them gifts and collection items they need to progress in the game. And how's it going over there? Either be close?
No, not yet.
Yeah, I didn't think so. As you move up levels, you play in different cities around the country, like New York, or you can go abroad and play in the Maldives or Madrid. This game is high action, it's challenging and exciting, and that's why there are over 1 million active players on the game every day.
Bingo!
So great job. Look, don't miss out on the fun. Just go to the App Store or Google Play and download Bingo Blitz, and you can do it for free today. And when you do, you'll get a special welcome bonus. I want to thank all of my guests today. For more information about today's episode, or if you'd like to share your story, log on to drphil.com. And if you want to add your voice to the conversation, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. If you're in the Los Angeles area, or you plan to be, we'd love to have you join us up here on stage for our studio audience. It's a lot of fun up here, right, guys? The tickets are free. Just go to drphil.com and click on Be Part of the Audience for all the details. Don't forget to follow and subscribe my podcast, Fill in the Blanks. And also listen to Robin's podcast, I've Got a Secret. She books some of the most interesting and innovative people in this world, how they got from where they were to where they are, and they're compelling stories. You just absolutely cannot stop listening. Check both of them out on Apple Podcast or wherever you listen to podcasts. And as you know from what Crystal says, we take very seriously the COVID protocols, keep everybody safe. And I want you to be safe in your life, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.